Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Dale Keown Day. It is Wednesday, so we're looking at his next issue of Pitt from the mid-90s at this point. It is issue number 13, March 1997. So, starting with the cover, we're going to talk about colors. I think the colors are starting to come together on the covers themselves. They're still quite dark compared to the interior colors. I don't know exactly why, but on this cover, I think it works really well. Maybe the background could have been a little bit lighter for these guys to pop a bit more, and this 90s kind of swirly effect back here, I don't think is necessary. Overall, though, I think the colors do work. Kind of leading into what I talked about Pitt last review, where his look is looking a little bit different. So I'm trying to think, am I chalking that up to those early image inconsistencies? Had trouble saying that word. Inconsistencies, like on Spawn, where, you know, the look would change a little bit, and even on Youngblood, the costume details and stuff would change from issue to issue. So maybe Dale Keown's suffering from a little bit of that. What am I talking about? The fact that it's harder to see maybe on here, or not so obvious, but basically since last issue, Pitt has no more upper lip. It's kind of disappeared. So, you know, the teeth and the gums kind of go right into the face. And on this cover, what I'm noticing, I don't know if I noticed last issue or paid attention to it, or if it was like that, but I will point it out now that, you know, usually Pitt's nails are just like our human hands, just longer nails. And he's got like a cuticle, and the nail comes out of that, and also grows and shortens, right? But here, there's no distinction. There's no kind of cuticle, and it just seems to be the end of his finger is one big spike. So that definitely relates to the storyline and what the reveal is going to be in this issue of what's going on. So I thought it was an aesthetic thing, but as we learned officially in this issue, I may mention last issue we'd find out, and I don't think we did. So just saying that at the end of this issue, we'll know for sure what's going on with Pitt's different aesthetic as far as the lip, the claws, and also his color scheme. You know, again, it's hard to say because it's changed a bit from the beginning, and he did kind of have slightly grayer kind of tone in those first few issues, and then later on had more of a skin tone, right? So here it's gone back to gray, so definitely something going on. Not just aesthetic that we'll find out this issue. And again, Roth, I think it's a bold choice to have him be this kind of deep, dark blue, but I kind of like it, and I think it works. Keown seems to be a fan of that color, right? Because the werewolf in Pitt is colored like that as well. So just something about it I guess. And again, it is a bold choice that I don't see a lot, and I think it works really well for the characters here in Pitt. And Roth himself, W-R-O-T-H, has kind of a Geiger vibe and just a slight kind of Aliens feel to him. So I think it adds to that with that color. And again, so look at Pitt's face here with no upper lip, and this kind of reproduction from the first issue where you see it. You can kind of see the difference there, right? This is, if possible, an even more extreme version of Pitt. Let's have a look inside. Usual credits: pencil, ink, story, Dale Keown. Dale Keown and Brad Haffey are the colors. Lettering, Chris Eliopoulos. And film output, again, if anyone knows what that is, let me know in the comments, please. I'm curious as to exactly what that entails. I've seen a few comics I reviewed from the 90s recently that have that, so what's going on? We got a recap, Pitt fighting Roth in issue 8, and then last issue we saw him, you know, kind of coming out of the Pacific. So this basically continues that. He's in British Columbia, it seems like. And again, I was talking about that kind of Geiger vibe to Roth, which I feel like I'm getting here, kind of an Aliens vibe with the mouth agape here. Kind of shark-like as well, I guess. And again, that, you know, the deep dark blue that he's got on the cover is just a little lighter here on the inside. I think that's a smart choice, and it works really well. All right, so we got these guys once again chasing Pitt. I gotta say, I feel like Dale Keown is, you know, really simplifying the backgrounds. Not that he doesn't do or hasn't done all the perspective work here, which works really well and is very evocative. It's just as far as the actual displays, he's just kind of gone with fairly easy grid patterns there. Hasn't added too much detail, but it looks pretty good. It's kind of odd. I don't know, like, she's sitting further back. She is kind of quite tall, right? So maybe that's why there's a disconnect in the proportions there. There's a weirdness. Anyways, I'm not going to shit on Dale Keown. He's a great artist, and the main reason I'm looking at his stuff. So this feels, honestly, deadline-wise, kind of a gratuitous double-page splash, because you can just draw a really big, cool Pitt image and the ship in the background, and have the colorist fill in your background and you're over and done with. So this feels kind of cheap. Also, let me look at the cover. I've talked a lot about Pitt having kind of framing issues, right? Where they usually end up being really close to the edge and the title gets cut off and stuff. And like, it's like these problems are starting to now come into the comic, because I find it impossible as an artist that you would literally decide to cut off the edges of just the bits of fingers on the both of Pitt's hands here. It's an odd choice if that's what it was. Doesn't make sense to me. So this was definitely cut down. There's something in the formatting that's happening that's seems to be cutting off some stuff here and there. Doesn't seem to have any problems with the single pages, but for some reason this double page splash, I just feel like was cropped badly or something. But anyways, you know, we're going to get the typical, I've said every issue of Pitt will give you a monster versus monster fight, and we're definitely getting that here between Pitt and Roth. But again, is that Pitt? We're not quite sure. So these guys are, like I said, trying to intercept Pitt, and just as he's about to, you know, kind of collide with Roth here, some sort of tractor beam pulls him away. And I will say that with this issue, no problems with the figure work. Looks great. The usual quality from Dale Keown. The foreshortening is on par. The hatching, the shadows, all of that. The spittle, the musculature, everything's right where it should be. But background-wise, man, I don't know if he's purposely having these stories take place in Antarctica and, you know, the Canadian West Coast. But this feels odd. You know, I've lived in British Columbia. Okay, I've been there, and you know, there's way more to draw in the background than what we're getting here. Even just a shot like this, I don't mind so much with the mountains and the trees just at the bottom. Give us some clouds or something. And these two here, like that just feels empty. You could have some treetops here, no problem, right? Even some here. So I feel like this is maybe a deadline issue overall, because as far as backgrounds, usually he's not, you know, cheaping out, and he's really going hard. And in this issue, I just feel like, yeah, once again, we've seen this double page splash in Pitt before, where he just takes advantage of the fact that he can just have a big fight going on. Kudos for, you know, actually having different panels and a bit of storytelling going on. And I mean, the gore level is pretty cool with this shot here. I think that's awesome. With the exploding out blood and everything, you know, I have nothing bad to say about the actual depiction of the action and the violence. I think it's done really well. This shot here of Roth biting his arm is pretty cool too. A little bit cartoony with this kind of, you know, forget what you call that. I don't even know if that has a name. Some sort of explosive effect, I guess. So while they're fighting, these guys pull the tractor beam on him. You know, they're trying to get him aboard the ship, I guess. These two pages seem odd to me, just in that their layout is so similar that I was almost thinking maybe this was almost a continuation and a double page spread. So I feel like there should have been something done layout wise just to differentiate these two pages a bit more. But again, I do feel like Dale Keown's going pretty fast on this one, right? He is inking himself too, so yeah, there's a little less detail in the backgrounds than usual. Lots of crazy action going on here. So Roth basically ripping a wing off of the ship and it crashing. And again, I don't know why we're in snow all of a sudden, because he was on the, I mean, there is snow in British Columbia on the West Coast, and if you're more northernly, but I felt like last issue when he showed up, and even that first page, there wasn't any snow. There was like water, rocks, and trees. It's like we're back to the Arctic here. Maybe throughout all this action, they made their way north or something. I mean, these are huge superhumans jumping great distances. I don't know. These guys are in a ship, so they could have followed them there, right? So we're getting a clue here. It says here, something inside him stirs. Suddenly, the memories injected by Quag rush to the forefront of Pitt's conscious mind, and a dark, familiar energy infiltrates his system. Right? And you see Zoivod's face. So basically what you're going to see is that Zoivod is taking over Pitt. And that's what's going to explain the aesthetic differences that we saw, right, all throughout. The sequence I thought was pretty cool, crushing this guy's arms. We find out that they're cybernetic, so, you know, don't feel bad for the guy. He's not in pain necessarily, but it's a really cool sequence. And, of course, the reveal, finally, another double-page splash. You know, if this was the only one in the issue, then I wouldn't say anything. But, yeah, it feels like, you know, those double-page splashes are definitely there to help get him through deadlines. Another character who does, well, doesn't look exactly like a dong. Maybe I'd call him more like a chode. Yeah, so the reveal, I should get to what the actual reveal is, not just the double page splash, but that Zoivod has kind of taken over Pitt's body to a certain extent, right? He's kind of inhibited it. So we've got, you know, Pitt Void or Zoe Pitt or whatever you want to call him. So again, an even more kind of crazy extreme version of Pitt, who kind of, to a certain extent, ends up looking like Hulk 2099. No? I kind of see that. And of course, it plays out as it should with, I have merged with Pitt's form to deliver your doom. Well, there's some good exposition there. And so we don't know exactly what happens to Roth. We just get a flacoo. Not sure what that is supposed to be as far as a sound effect. And boom, we're back to regular old Pitt. And got to say, with this last shot, to be continued, this is the most, obviously he's knocked out, so it makes sense, but the most subdued version of Pitt I've ever seen, right? So it's the first time Pitt looks somewhat normal, just a guy with no nose, basically. So, like I said, somewhat normal. Yeah, I don't know if his look quite works as much when he's subdued. Maybe that's the reason he's always kind of stressed and anxious, and just, you know, when he's relaxed, it's a weird look. No nose. Got to assume that Pitt's a mouth breather, right? Kind of has no choice. All right. Gonna go through. Oh, this one's kind of cool. There's something I like about that. Yeah. Oh, this one's not bad either. Every once in a while, there's some fan art that looks kind of cool. Cyber Frog, Your Mama is an Alien. Interesting. Art Adams doing a cover. From what I can tell from both, you know, online, the bits I get about Art Adams' politics and Ethan Van Sciver's politics, I don't feel like this would ever happen again. Could be wrong on that. I don't know. Pitt number 14 coming in June. All right, so that'll be our next review for next week. That is it, guys, for this week. Pitt number 13. Those of you who are still watching and are subscribed, thank you so much for sticking around, being loyal. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It only takes a quick second, helps the channel grow, helps get us out there to other people who are into comics just like we are. So everyone out there, hope you enjoyed the review and have yourselves an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.